It's 5 o'clock and it's time to start. If everybody have a seat, we'll get started. We'll start with a moment of silence. Thank you. We will now do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If anybody wants to sing the Star Spangled Banner, we'd be delighted to have you do
He took his hat off on there.
Jerked it off.
Kelly's not with us tonight because he's getting ready for his daughter to get married, and he's been to his last board meeting, so I get to do it tonight. Want to approve the minutes of the prior board meeting. I trust that you all have read the minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second that we approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. We're getting ready to approve the agenda, but there's two items that have been asked to be added to the meeting. First item is, will be lettered item F.
Yes, ma'am.
Consider emergency teacher certification for English teacher at the high school. And item G, approve the amended salary schedule. Do I have a motion that we amend the agenda?
I move that we amend the agenda.
Second.
Motion is made and second that we amend the agenda. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we want a motion to approve the agenda as with these items added.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the entire agenda now with the added items. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Miss Emery, recognitions.
Good evening, board members and guests. We have some outstanding individuals to recognize tonight. Unfortunately, they're not here yet. They had a play to go to later on, so I'm hoping maybe they'll walk in as I'm doing these recognitions. So I'm going to skip down to my second recognition, and that's going to be that we have an employee who recently completed the Gatton School Financial Management Institute. This 3-year program includes rigorous classes from taxes to facilities management and construction. Students are required to create presentations throughout the 3 years and are critiqued by their peers and mentors. the University of Kentucky Gatton College of Business and Economics, the Don and Kathy Jacobs Executive Education Center, and the Muhlenberg County Board of Education proudly congratulates Mr. Eric Bletzinger for completing this program. Eric is married to Miss Kara Bletzinger, and they have 2 children, Landon and Ethan. This is a huge accomplishment, and I have a plaque that I would like Mr. McCarty to present to Eric, and let us get a picture of that, please. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and recognize the students, and if they come in, I will grab a picture later. I'm sorry that they're not here with us right now. But we have 2 very special individuals that are students at Central City Elementary School. They earned state recognition through the Deaf, Hard of Hearing State Spelling Bee on November the 4th in Princeton at the regional DHH Spelling Bee. Aaron Peary and his sister Emily both placed first in their grade division, which qualified them to compete in state. The state DHH Spelling Bee was on Monday, December the 5th in Elizabethtown. Aaron placed 4th and Emily placed 1st at the state in their grade division. Aaron and Emily are the children of Brian and Lori Peary, and they have an amazing hearing teacher who I'm sure is trying to find where they're at, and her name is Kelly Gann. So let's just congratulate them. They received some, I think, medals and a trophy for that. The last thing that I want to recognize, I'm going to allow Eric to come up, and he has a presentation for one of our outstanding elementary schools.
Thank you. On November 21st, I received a letter from the United States Environmental Protection Agency in Washington, D.C., congratulating the board for earning our district's first EPA Energy Star to Greenville Elementary. This building uses 35% less energy and generates 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions than similar buildings across the nation. Here to receive this award is Greenville Elementary's principal, Ms. Stacy Jones.
Treasurer's report.
Oh, here. All right, Carla, you're back up front.
I'm sorry. Our students are here now. Come on in. Where's mine?
It's right there.
Right.
You want to do it? Good.
I'm going to let you all just come on up. You don't even have to sit down, Mom. You all can just come up here. We want to recognize them with all of their awards. So we have Mr. Aaron Peary right here. And Miss Emily Peary. We've got certificates too. Hold on, Kenny. Let's get it all. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Try it again.
All right, take 2. Thank you, Chairman Williams, distinguished members of the board. I have the Treasurer's Report as of November 30th, 2016. We'll start with our revenues. This month, the beginning balance was $10.766 million, which is a decrease of about $1.5 million from the October 31st financials. Other revenues, you'll notice there is an increase in taxes. We received $3.9 million. This is we get this every year, the month after taxes have been levied. So this year it was $3.9 million, and again, these will taper off throughout the course of the year. So that's an increase of $3.8 million over the last month, for a total of $6.3 million in revenues, which was a $3.8 million, pretty much exactly $3.8 million from the previous month, for a total of $17 million in the bank, which is a $2.3 million increase over the last month. Our expenses, this month we had accounts payable of $587,776. That is a decrease of about $866,000. Our payroll was $2.58 million, it's roughly the same. Really, it's a difference of about $4,000. Last month it was $2.584 million, which is for a total of $3.168 million in expenses for the month of November, which is a decrease of roughly $900,000. The accounts payable breakdown, not sure why that keeps popping in value, I apologize. Our fixed mix expense was about 47.74%. Variable expenses were 34.43%, and utilities were 17.82%. Of that accounts payable, 71.58% of that was general fund. The rest were paid by special funds. Roughly 25% of that was utilities. 35% was other fixed and mixed expenses, and 39.63% of that was variable expenses. Of the total accounts payable, 16% of those were projects where the funds were called for specifically, and 16.31 of that was SBDM dollars, which is significantly higher, as they usually trend about 3 to 5% monthly. Our ledger balance at the close of the month was about $13.9 million, which is up about $3.1 million, which is really a function of the $3.9 million that we received. Excuse me. There were outstanding checks of about $644,000. Those are a combination of accounts payable and payroll checks, for a cash at the close of the end of the month of $13.319 million. Of that $13.9 million was the ledger balance. 12.574 of that was general fund, which is an increase of about $2.4 million. Debt service is $302,000, which is an increase of $833,000. I want you to take note of that number. Just keep that in mind as we move forward here. And for a total of, again, $13.9 million, so there was a total increase of about $13.134 million. Now, what you have in front of you, that supplemental piece of paper that I gave to you all, this is the form that we received from our state in terms of how we get our SEEK funds. And this one is it's our tentative. So it's much like our budget. We get a draft, a tentative, and a working SEEK dollar. So, as enrollment increases and decreases, the state adjusts that three times a year. But what I want you to take note of is right down on the lower left-hand portion of there, you'll see where it says Nichols, okay? It says FSPK, I've highlighted it for you all. Right there, that is our Nichols calculation. That $833,000 increase that you saw in debt service, we take that $833,000 and drop that right into from our local funds into that FSPK. Those funds go to service our bond payments every year. So, you know, the state matches. You'll notice the state puts in 8.93, or excuse me, 893,000, not 8.93, of those additional dollars to help pay for our bond payments. And then the rest, you know, comes from other areas. But we've been very fortunate where we haven't really had to dig too deep into our general fund to pay those. And as our bond payments go down, less and less of our general fund will be used to service bond payments. And that's important as we move forward, because that frees up more dollars to do things in terms of repairs, salary, those sorts of things. So that I just wanted you guys to, this was kind of like a teaching moment that we could see that. So that FSBK, that's where that $833,000 came. And again, it's tied right back to the debt service.
Will you remind me what FSPK
I do not remember what,
Okay.
I apologize.
I'll look it up.
It's basically our bond payments.
Okay. And then how many times a year you said it adjusts? Does it kind of follow our budget when we draft and tentative and?
But yeah, I mean, the state comes out before, they come out usually a month to a month and a half prior to our budget deadlines, so we can incorporate these into when we do our budgets. Generally, the FSPK and those things don't really adjust too much. We do every year when we do when the state drops that additional $893,000 in, we get that half of that in the beginning of the year. So you'll see that dropped in usually around August or September. And that I'd have to go back and let you know for sure, but it was about $400,000. And then you'll see it again in May or June.
Okay.
Is when they drop it in again. So it's at the far ends of the year. So in the interim, what happens is our general fund covers those dollars, and then once that money gets replenished, we drop that back into the general fund to pay for that. Does that make sense? Okay. So extended financial picture. It is updated to reflect the 4% increase, and so the thing that I wanted to make note of is that at the end of April, we'll have about $18.08 million in the bank. That is a $664,000 decrease from what I had projected the last month. And that is a function of, and it trends, it's what we expected. It trends right along with that increase. So it's not anything out of the ordinary. It's not anything alarming. It's just, that is what it is. That's what it's going to cost the district over the course of time. Like I said last Friday, I feel comfortable with that, and I don't foresee any major issues with that. But that's where the April extended picture goes. Are there any questions?
A work session around all these big numbers would be great.
That'd be great.
Do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
Make motion to accept.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we accept the treasurer's report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Payment of bills and salaries.
Chairman Williams, distinguished board members, thank you again. This month I bring $364,987 for payment of bills. Utility expense, we're about almost $72,000, 19.66%. Fixed and mixed costs were approximately $138,000 at 37.87%. And variable expenses were $155,000 of those. The notable checks that were done this month. $96,363 was paid to CDW Government, which is a tech company, and that was the Medicaid tech purchase. $28,500 was paid to Carl Riggs and Ingram, which was for our audit for fiscal year 16. Excuse me. And $16,600 was paid to Pomeroy IT Solutions, and that was a Greenville Elementary School JP Morgan funds purchase of tech. That's the library funds that are specifically set aside for Greenville Elementary. They don't touch any of our general fund dollars. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Eric?
I make a motion, we pay the bills and salaries.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we pay our bills and the payment for our salaries too. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Public participation. Oh, I missed one. Somebody forget to sign this, public participation. Well, I'm still disappointed.
Let's roll.
Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. The first thing on tonight is our attendance enrollment update. Mr. Freeman, you want to tell us where we're at?
Thank you, Mr. McCarty. Mr. Chairman, board members, I have before me, before you also the fourth month attendance report for our current school year. Dates for fourth month, November 1st through December 1st. Our monthly attendance for this time period was 94.12 compared to last year. At this time it was 94.08, so obviously up 0.04 percentage points from last year for the fourth month. Year to date, we're at 95.17. Last year at this time, we were at 95.03, so up almost 0.15 percentage points from last year at this time, heading into the new year. Enrollment numbers, we are currently at 4,757. That's compared to last year, 4,885. If you compare to last year, the fourth month, we're down 128. Again, I focus on this each time. I'm really focusing on where we stood at the end of last year, the last day of school, and we are down 81 from the last day of school from the 15-16 school year. But we're also up 9 students from last year, or I'm sorry, from last month. From the third month, we actually gained 9 students. Have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Second part is I want to talk to everybody a little bit. We're entering into a time into our state with a lot of changes that are coming up with our new legislators and educational pieces coming through with Mr. Pruitt. I've been asked to serve on a Western Kentucky Education Cooperative. There's 27 districts in the western part of the state. There's, I think there's 8 of us on this committee. It's Mary Ann Gimmel from Henderson County. It's Travis Hamby from Trigg, Trent Lovett from Marshall, Bob Rogers from down at Murray Independent, Rachel Yarborough from Webster County, Donald Shively, Paducah Independent, and David Whaley, he's the Murray State University Dean of Education. A big part of this committee is to work with Tom Shelton, President of KSS, and a lot of the legislators in Frankfort. There's a lot of new legislation that's going to be rolled out here in this session in January that's going to really have a lot of effect on the education system in the state of Kentucky. Some of the items that we're already talking to them about is charter schools. You'll be hearing a lot about that. My guess is that's going to happen. The reason we're there is we need to get a handle on how that's going to affect us financially, what they're going to look like, who's going to issue those charters. So I'm glad that I'll be sitting with the group at the table to try to have some input on what those look like. School calendar, you've been hearing a lot about that. Talked to Tom at about 2 o'clock. It looks like that might be voluntary now at this time. They haven't voted on it, but I think that's the way it's going. That's good for us. We've been pushing to leave that up to individual districts, how they set their calendar. So hopefully that'll follow through. There's Senate Bill 1 is going to be on the table in the January session, what that's going to look like, the role of SBDMs, the tribunal reform, and our pension changes, what they're going to look like, if any. So it's a very important time that's coming up in our state. You got with the new federal ESSA guidelines that are rolling out that replaces No Child Left Behind, and the proposed legislation coming out of Frankfurt. And you got Dr. Pruitt's new accountability system. We wanted to make sure that we're sitting there trying to at least get them to listen to us some as they start making these changes. So hopefully we can have some input that's going to help our kids in the long run, that the decisions that are made will hopefully help our kids moving forward in the state of Kentucky. So I want to give that update. Next thing we talked about early this afternoon, Greenville Elementary was presented with an Energy Star designation for the energy savings efforts. But as this week has went along, they're not the only school in our district to achieve this award. That's the only one that we've got signed off on down this way. But there's 3 other schools that are going to be Energy Star schools. It's Central City Elementary, Muhlenberg South Elementary, and Muhlenberg County High School East Campus. All 4 schools have lowered their electric consumption by nearly 10%, and the 2 that use natural gas for heat have lowered their consumption by 20%. By just turning off the lights and utilizing schedules that Eric's implement our train system, it makes a big difference in the usage and it affects the cost in a good way for us. Tomorrow, the state will be down to recognize Greenville Elementary during assembly at 9:45 at their gym. We invite all you guys on the board, if you'd like to come join that celebration. I just want to take a second and tell you what a good job Eric is doing with our energy since he's been here. That we're actually implementing some of the train controls and stuff that we've had in place, and he's keeping an eye on it, and it's saved us a lot of money in our school system. So wanted you to know that we're moving on that in our district. So the last thing tonight, I got some thanks I got to give to Margaret and Martha. Dr. Tarter's not here. Margaret and Martha, thank you guys. You guys have been sitting on the board in some hard times, really hard times, and you've made some good decisions and hard decisions that affect these kids and our staff and the things that we had to do to survive around here. So I thank you for your time. I hope you have a good non-board member life moving forward, that you don't have to worry about the stuff we've had to worry about over the years. But thank you guys for all you've done for us and the kids and the staff in our county. So that's all I've got on my superintendent report for tonight.
Mrs. Branning. Personnel actions.
First of all, Merry Christmas. I have to say that. We're getting close. In personnel actions for the period of November the 2nd through December the 6th, 2016, certified personnel employment, there were 6 actions. Resignation of certified personnel, there were 4 actions. Reassignment of certified personnel, there was 1 action. Classified personnel employment, there were 10 actions. Resignation of classified personnel, there were 2 actions, and reassignment of classified personnel, there were 5 actions. Any questions? Thank you.
Do we need a motion? Okay. Board action items. First action is approval of Central City textbook plan.
Good evening, board members. I just wanted to present to you Central City's textbook plan. I think you have a copy of it in your binder. Central City Elementary has prepared a textbook plan that outlines how they wish to spend their 2016-17 state textbook allotment. They're requesting to spend their textbook allotment of $13,132.59 on the Go Math textbook series for students in grades kindergarten through 5th grade. In addition to their state textbook allocation, they'll provide the additional $16,984.86 that it will take to cover the balance of $30,117.45. They will be purchasing items that are not currently on the state textbook adoption list, and that is fine with the state. You just have to do a lot more paperwork when you go off list. So, but they've completed the state-required written rationale, the Form B and Form M, and they've also they've completed the state-required evaluation tool. So everything's in order for them to make this purchase after approval tonight, if you choose to do so. So I recommend that Central City Elementary be allowed to make the purchase of the Gold Math textbook series for their kindergarten through 5th grade students, with the understanding that Central City Elementary will pick up the additional cost that it takes to make this purchase.
Do
I make a motion that we approve the Central City textbook plan.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the Central City textbook plan. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I'll give this document to Sherry so that she can obtain Dr. Tartar's signature on it, because it must have a board chair's signature. Thank you.
You're welcome. Our next item is we want to consider declaring a freezer at the Central City Elementary School surplus property.
Chairman Williams, distinguished board members, thank you again. Basically what this is anytime we want to sell anything or scrap or anything, it has to be declared surplus. So at this time, I'm asking that we declare this surplus so they may scrap that item.
Do we have a motion that we declare this freezer surplus?
I make that motion that we surplus the freezer.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we surplus the freezer at the Central City Elementary School. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is to approve the review of procedure C05.31 AP.1 for facilities agreement.
Thank you again. It's an additional procedure. We already had one in place, but it was for the Felix Martin Jr. Performance Hall. It was specific to that, in which it lined out insurance requirements and those sorts of things. Other documents that we have in the district loosely describe some of our requirements. I took the Felix Martin Jr. Performance Hall document, went to KSBA and worked with them to redraft this so that it applies to all of our facilities. That way we have a bit more teeth, so to speak, when we require those that use outside entities that use our facilities in terms of insurance requirements, what they are allowed and not allowed to do within our facilities, requirements on who needs to be here if necessary, those sorts of items. So this, since it's a procedure, only requires one reading, and I'm asking that you allow this so we can put this on the procedures website and start implementing it.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Facilities use agreements that we've already approved up until this procedure. Are we going to go back and ask them to comply with this? Just because this is a little bit more in depth, I guess?
I would say at this point we probably won't, just because there are other documents that, if we take document A and document B, we can tie it together. But moving forward, I think that this is really just consolidates much of those items. It makes it a little bit simpler to track down. I don't believe it's necessary to go back and try to reobtain signatures at this point.
Or just let them know of all the details? I mean,
Yes.
I think it's a 7-page procedure. I just wanted to make sure that there might be things that anyone should be aware of.
Really, a
Of
lot of
facilities
these
use.
items, there's a procedure on the site that it's laid out within a grid. And I think it's hard to follow, but I'd be glad to give this to the the ones that we've already had sign agreements.
So then this becomes effective today?
Yes, ma'am.
No need to go back, no liability there to go back and ask?
I'm going to consider accepting the fiscal year 2016 audit report.
Oh, well.
Need to vote on that one
We still have to approve the other one
first. They're
first.
gonna approve this one, he's one
The
Oh,
procedure.
okay, well, I thought we did that.
No,
I'm sorry.
Just vote on it.
I make a motion, we approve the facility agreement.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the facilities agreement, the review of the procedure. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider accepting the fiscal year 2016 audit report.
Thank you again. Last month, Laney White spoke with all of you regarding our audit at this point. Really what this is it's a kind of a formality in which we ask that you accept the audit as written from the auditor. Also allows you to ask any questions that you may have. So I'd be glad to go over anything with you all.
The recommendations for current year and prior year, do we have a plan of when they'll be rectified? I know there was 3 things for central office and 2 at different schools.
Can you tell me what page that is?
95. And then 96 is current year. 95 is current year and prior year, so they'd already wanted us to address it. And then 96 is current year.
I'll be glad to go over that. For instance, central office, the $20,000 bid, that vendor is on the state bid list. They couldn't find it at the time during the audit. That vendor is on the state bid list. I've had that discussion with them
Okay.
on numerous occasions. Food service expenses recorded in general fund. What that was is that there are monitors, that the lunchroom monitors, they're not allowed to be paid from food service funds because they are not directly involved in food preparation. Those items, I have moved them off of the food service coding. I think what it was is that when we did move them off, it was really, it was like in July, so we had already started the fiscal year at that point. Procurement, purchase orders for food service, they utilize purchase orders on every purchase at this point. So I believe all those have been rectified, honestly. Again, review of procurement, it's really they do a poll on purchases. If they find where they may not find a purchase order, again, we try to have a purchase order for every purchase. Sometimes, if someone goes out and purchases something, I've been starting to crack down on it more, in which I say if your invoice date is prior to the purchase order, you may face not getting it covered. That's just a function of accountability at that point. Internal controls, that's the finance, that involves me. I do have access to every module, and every district our size and smaller, basically the finance officer does have access to everything. Our system does have an electronic timestamp in it, in which anything that I do, it's recorded electronically. But it's not, I do parse out responsibilities wherein I do have access, but I do not touch every module. The function of that is in case if something happens to one of my payroll people, there is cross-training that does occur, but if I have to step in and help, this allows me to do something like that, or if accounts payable, if something happens to that person. Again, there's cross-training in which we do try to cover that, but if something catastrophic happens, In order to ensure that the daily operations of the district continue to function properly, I do have access to those sorts of things. And then fixed assets is something that I'm doing a review on. I'm doing a physical inventory. That was suggested last year. Honestly, I did not do the physical inventory. There are items that do need to be retired, and I am going through those currently at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
I read this audit from cover to cover.
Well, good.
And on page 7, on the 4th line, it says, "The major governmental funds for the Butler County School District." And I'm pretty sure that they mean Muhlenberg County
sure they do.
School District. I thought we ought to call it to their attention, because I'm sure they're sitting up there waiting for us to do that.
That's all right. Last year it was addressed to Jeff Bletzinger, so.
Can't beat that.
Do you want to table this and ask for correction?
No. Do I have a motion that we approve this audit report?
I make a motion.
Second. But fix Muhlenberg County.
I'll have the county correct.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the audit report for 2016. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins. We want to consider the comprehensive district and improvement plan review and approval.
Thank you, Mrs. Vice Chairman, board members. Each year, districts and schools across the state complete comprehensive improvement plans to guide their planning for the school year. These plans are based on the data received from state testing and are inclusive of numerous goals, strategies, and activities to support school improvement and the professional growth and effectiveness system. The value of a sound comprehensive plan lies in its ability to be changed as the need arises. Plans sometimes need to be only slightly amended or revised due to changing goals or practices. With input from the Planning Committee, the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan, or CDIP, has been revised and updated to include new goals that reflect the district's overall performance in the unbridled learning accountability model for this school year. The goals of the CDIP are based on an analysis of disaggregated data from multiple sources. Revisions have been made to each school's comprehensive plan as well to address the needs identified by multiple measures in order to establish goals that will bring each school into compliance with the unbridled learning accountability model from the Kentucky Department of Education. Please note that these plans are considered living documents and as such will continue to be updated and changed as circumstances dictate in an effort for our district and individual schools to be responsive to the ever-changing needs of our diverse student population, affording them the quality of education that aligns to our belief of bringing success to every child, whatever it takes. The comprehensive school improvement plans have also been updated and submitted or will be submitted once they're approved by their site-based councils before the end of the month, which is the deadline, through the ASSIST module to the Kentucky Department of Education. I would recommend that the school or the Board of Education approve the Comprehensive District Improvement Plan and the Comprehensive School Improvement Plans for the 2016-17 school year.
Do I have a motion that we accept this plan?
Make that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded that we accept the comprehensive district improvement plan. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We want to consider F, the emergency teacher certification for the English teacher at the high school.
Thank you for taking this into consideration. We posted 2 vacant English positions for the high school. One posting was done on November the 4th, another was on November the 30th. With the applications that were received, they have been able to fill one of those positions. However, they have not been able to find a fully certified teacher for the other position. We do have an applicant with teaching certification for grades 5 through 9, but not an endorsement for the other grades 10, 11, and 12. It was a unanimous decision by the interview committee that they had interviewed a quality applicant. The high school interviewed this teacher and says they bring an excellent background of working with students who have diverse needs, including the ESL and low socioeconomic backgrounds. In an email, Ms. Donna Bumps, the principal at the high school, on behalf of the committee, strongly urges us to please consider their recommendation and understand their recommendation bears in mind what is best for their students. The interview committee consists of, and this is a correction to your sheet, it actually consisted of 5 members, and I apologize for this. The principal, an assistant principal, a parent who was also an English teacher, another English teacher, and a site-based member. So I apologize for that error. If the district submits an application for full-time emergency certification, the teacher would be eligible for this position. The prerequisites for approval of this are outlined in KRS 161.100, KAR 2.120, and Certification Form CA4F. All of the prerequisites have been met by the district and this applicant. Emergency certification is good for 1 year, or in this case, for the remainder of this school year. This will give the district time to actively recruit a fully certified teacher for this position for the 17-18 school year, or allow this teacher to obtain the full certification for grades 10 through 12 during this time. And are there any questions?
When selecting, why was there another committee? Wasn't just site-based
It is referred to site-based for approval.
approval, but another committee did the
And that is,
search?
and Ms. Bumps may want to address that
that
more
right?
fully.
It is an ad hoc interview committee, and
Okay.
then based on what that committee suggests, it's referred to site-based council.
Okay, thank you.
And I believe site-based approval was last night.
Okay. Well, I make a motion that we consider emergency certification for the English teaching position at the high school.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. We approve the emergency teacher certification for our English teacher at the high school. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is G, which would be the approval of our amended salary schedule. You all have,
Thank you again. As you recall, on December 9th, there was, the board did approve the 4% increase to the current salary schedule for the remainder of the year, would be the remaining 12 pay periods, for the last 12 pay periods for employees. Essentially, approval was made that evening. However, in discussions with my mentor in McLean County, he said it probably would be wise to just present you all the salary schedule, what it will look like then. So what I sent to you yesterday was the amended salary schedule along with the previous version, just so you could compare. What this entailed was I essentially had to go back, take the current salary tables in our software and increase them by 4%. There are about 72 different salary tables that have to be addressed. And, based on any rounding differences, that's where I have to go back and compare and make sure that they all correlate, that they're all exactly the same when different salary tables are the same for different positions. So what you have before you are those the salary table increase. The many of the pages did not change, such as for instance what Ms. Lavelle is looking at right now, the extra service. I didn't change anything on that page. The next page from there, those were increased by 4% when applicable, and I had to I have to keep the longevity page in there because it's part of the salary schedule. And I also increased the sub pay 4%. So really, all you're looking at is a reflection of the action that was taken on December 9th. And so I'm asking that you approve this evening, because it needs to be approved before 1/1/2017.
Do I have a motion that we approve the amended salary schedule?
I make that motion. I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the amended salary schedule. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Now we're down to the consent agenda.
They're all good.
You're all good.
Hold on, Dale.
Do I have a motion that we accept our consent decree? Consent
I
decree.
make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve our consent agenda. All in favor, aye. All opposed? Motion carries. I just have a few things I want to say before we close, Randy, if that's permissible. If it isn't, I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay, stop.
You know that, don't you? I just want to thank everybody for being so kind and coming out tonight. I really am disappointed. I thought there'd be a lot larger crowd, it being my last night, but I do appreciate you all coming out. I've had an enjoyable 4 years on the Board of Education. I don't know it was as enjoyable as the 2 years I spent on Central City back in the 80s, because that was when we were trying to consolidate this Muhlenberg County School District. But it's been a fun time and it's been a hard time. Had hard decisions to make. Things I never thought I'd ever have to do, I did. But at least we've turned it around and trying to get it back on track so that everybody can get their salary increased. If I had my way, instead of giving you all a reduction, I would have given you an 8% increase. But it wasn't left up to me and it wasn't left up to everybody else. But I do appreciate that. And for the ones that are getting ready to start out on a new board year, Susan and Darrell, I hate it, I'm not going to be here with you, but I will be here sometimes.
We can visit.
Yeah, we can, can't we, Martha? Martha hadn't been here long enough for me to really get good and acquainted with her, and she didn't run for office again. But the entire staff in Muhlenberg County is outstanding. And I'm pretty critical of people, because that's what I did when I was working, supervising things like that. But the schools have excellent administrations. There's just a few that need to go, but they still have somebody there that's taking care of what needs to be done. I've never seen as many people that would be so active and spend their money to buy them a shirt so we'd give you back your money, but I'm disappointed you didn't come with your hats on tonight. I heard about the hats.
Yeah, we put it on, out for the public to hear.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate y'all doing that, because that's the only way I'd hear it, because I'm not on social media. Somebody called me up and told me that. But save your money. Save your money. Don't spend it on T-shirts and hats. Save your money, so that when it comes time to buy you a new spring purse, you can still afford a Michael Kors purse, or a Dooney and Burke, or a Coach purse, whatever you would like. Have I disturbed you all?
Yeah.
You should be on the receiving end too. Thank you, ladies.
May I
Thank
say
you, everybody, for coming tonight. I want to say I have really enjoyed my time here, and I'm going to be back But I'm going to be back as Margaret Williams, citizen of Muhlenberg County, where I can say what I want to, when I want to. Did I hear somebody down here say something?
Yes. It's been a hard year, you folks, but I've enjoyed it too. I appreciate the thank yous that I have gotten. Not too much criticism, a little, but a thank you at the end. That was nice. And I like y'all. Thank you.
It's my turn to make the motion. I move that we adjourn this meeting.
I said.
All in favor?
All in favor, aye.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.